Sure, it's always a moving target, but last I checked, 44 Californian cities have enacted electric reach codes. And got to tell you, Diane Bailey has had a lot to do with it. She's the executive director of Menlo Spark, a community nonprofit aimed at helping the city of Menlo Park and the region become carbon neutral. She also leads the campaign for fossil-free buildings in Silicon Valley. Previously, Diane worked at NRDC, Citizens for a Better Environment in Chicago, and a local transportation planning agency in Houston, Tejas. So take it away, Diane.
Dennis, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And it's great to be part of this event. I'm going to try to share my screen and see if I can keep talking while I do this. Great to be a part of Sustainapalooza. Let's see, can you guys see that?
Yep.
I'm going to make this bigger for you. There we go. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit this afternoon about the rise of the electric building code, plus a few other related projects to help us phase out fossil fuels. Oops, see if I can advance slides. There we go. Okay, so a little bit about what I'll cover today, a little intro about Menlo Spark, my organization, the campaign for fossil-free buildings and our work. We'll talk about some policy progress to phase out fossil fuels from our homes and buildings. And then if there's time, we can get into what you can do to replace gas in your home or business. And if there's not time, I'll make sure to get some resources to you on that. So a little bit about Menlo Spark. We are a very tiny but mighty community climate organization, started in 2015 with the ambitious goal to take the city of Menlo Park climate neutral in 10 years. And we've expanded our vision a little bit to include the broader region and helping achieve a zero carbon future for everyone throughout the region, working with businesses, city governments, communities, anyone who wants to lend a hand in the fight on local climate action. And a little bit about why. So if you're here, you probably know that we're in a climate crisis. But the thing is that most people don't really understand how bad the climate crisis is and how much it's accelerated faster than scientists have predicted. And last year was the worst wildfire season that we've ever experienced, and also the hottest year on record. And that's not a coincidence. This is really sort of the new status quo because of climate. But we should not despair, like this little earth says, we'll be fine. But we do need to take action if we want to be fine. And taking action means kicking our fossil fuels habit. It's really important that we transition off of fossil fuels as quickly as possible if we want to have a safe and livable climate, not just for our grandkids, but for ourselves, really, since we're already feeling the impacts. And so one of the primary reasons why we focus so much on fossil fuels is to address the climate crisis. But thankfully, there are a lot of benefits to transitioning off fossil fuels and particularly phasing out gas. And it means that we'll have healthier air. It means that we'll live in safer homes and buildings, and we can also reduce our cost on utility bills and improve our home comfort if we reduce our fossil fuel use. And here's one little known fact about the fossil fuel use inside our homes. Gas is a fossil fuel, despite its name, it's not natural at all. And a lot of our appliances, heaters, water heaters, dryers, stoves, and a few others do typically use gas here in California. And all of these gas appliances taken together in our homes produce about 7 times more smog-forming NOx pollution if we compare them to all of the NOx pollution coming from gas-fired power plants in California. Well, it's easier to clean up a smokestack from a power plant than a tiny flue inside your home. And so this is a pretty serious problem. But fortunately, there are good solutions to get those gas products out of our homes and to stop polluting our air. And so to help address this problem, we formulated the campaign for fossil-free buildings in Silicon Valley back in March 2019, so a couple of years ago. And we formed, it was just a handful of groups at the time, with a common cause to accelerate the phase out of all fossil fuels in our homes and buildings throughout the region. We focus on both San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. And we decided to focus on new construction first. And we are up to 36 member groups now working together. And we have all of our resources listed on our website. That's fossilfreebuildings.org. So we have come a long way in the past few years. We had good success focusing on one single strategy to begin with. Those are called REACH codes. REACH codes are city or county-based policies that put requirements on new construction that go beyond the state minimum. So reaching beyond the state minimum for the energy code. So, so far we have 23 such codes in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties, and that's more than half of the total statewide. Dennis, you were right, it's 44 codes in the state. So most of the logos are in this picture. Daly City was a recent one that's not reflected there. But the really nice thing about most of the policies here in the Bay Area are that most of them are not incentive based. They're actual requirements that new construction will be all electric. And there are some exceptions, economic, and some for cultural, like cooking. And we hope to work through those and make those kind of the extreme exception and not the norm in the future. But the REACH codes are spreading, and the next version of the state code will be much stronger. It's not going to ban gas, but it will make it pretty hard to build with gas. And it's definitely in the direction of phasing all gas out of new construction throughout our state. And another piece of good news is that a lot of cities outside of California are now looking at similar policies. Cities like Denver, Seattle, Portland, New York City. So we are seeing a lot of action based on the success here in California. So what is our campaign going to do now that we have all these REACH codes? Well, we're going to keep supporting any city that wants to adopt these codes because it's smart not to incorporate gas or any fossil fuels in new construction. That makes good sense. But because we have such a strong base of so many cities adopting these policies, we're now really focusing on existing homes and buildings and helping homeowners and building owners get rid of the gas that they're using. When we do this, we have an eye towards equity. We want to make sure that low-income homes are not left behind as society at large transitions away from gas. We don't want to leave low-income households saddled with really large gas bills. We know that the gas rates will increase as more and more customers kind of ditch gas. We want to do a lot more community outreach to educate folks about the health hazards of having gas inside your home. And we're working to put together financing programs and other support programs to help make it easier and to help people save money, make it more affordable to switch from gas to electric. We know that today it's not so easy. There aren't enough contractors. In some cases, it can require electrical upgrades in your home. We're working to smooth out all of those wrinkles, and it's getting easier every day. So part of this work involves our local community choice energy providers. So locally, that tends to be Peninsula Clean Energy and Silicon Valley Clean Energy, both of those agencies, as well as Palo Alto Utilities. They're doing a lot of work to support this transition to electrify everything, including vehicles. And I won't read everything on the slide, but I'll just note a couple of the highlight programs from our CCEs. Peninsula Clean Energy is set to launch a turnkey electrification program for low-income homeowners. How do we know who qualifies? They're likely on the CARE rate in their utility. So if they've opted into that assistance program or FARA, the federal one, then they would be eligible to get free electric upgrades in their home. And this program is really nice. They're teaming up with El Concilio, which is a local service provider to low-income families, providing a lot more than just home energy services. So they're kind of a trusted community partner, and they'll incorporate in that program some healthy upgrades as well. If there's moldy carpet to be replaced, they include that in the program. It's a great program, and we hope it can be a model for the whole region. And then the community choice energy providers are also teaming up to increase the rebates to erase any gap in cost for electric heaters or water heaters versus the gas appliances. Right now, Peninsula Clean Energy just upped their rebate to be $2,500. So that's quite a lot. And you get a tax credit on top of it. And it really erases the gap in price between the gas and electric appliances. So that's helpful. There are also some outreach and education programs that are going region-wide. One is the Switches On campaign, and I hope that you've heard the NPR ads from the Switches On. But if you haven't, ping me and I'll send you some because they're pretty cool. Okay, moving on. Let me see. So one thing that we're focusing on more and more now is actual requirements that when you replace your water heater or any gas appliance at the end of its life, that you transition to electric or zero pollution equivalent. And it's going to require a lot of support, but there are a lot of cities that are looking at these kinds of standards right now. Menlo Park, Palo Alto, Half Moon Bay, San Francisco, Berkeley, and most importantly, the Bay Area Air District. They cover the 9-county region. They are looking at appliance standards that will transition us over probably the next 5 or 6 years to a zero emission standard for heaters and water heaters. And that means that when you go to your local Home Depot, eventually they won't be able to sell highly polluting gas appliances. And the nice thing about that is it gives everyone a little time to transition and a heads up. Those standards are slated to be adopted next year and would phase in around 2025, 2026. So that's a really good approach that could spur a statewide sunset on gas appliances, similar to what the governor did through executive order for fossil fuel cars, gasoline cars, sunsetting the sale of those cars in 2035. We would like to see a similar sunsetting of all fossil fuel products by 2035 at the latest. And that's going to take a lot of effort to build the financing and technical support programs to support those. But that work is already underway through the Air District and these energy agencies. So that's the good news. And now, if I have a little time, I would love to talk about what everyone can do to kind of leap ahead of those standards and make really smart choices when you're replacing your heater or any gas device at the end of its life. Or if you want to plan to replace it early, that's always a really great thing for indoor air quality and your own personal health. Earlier this year, we produced a guidebook with the consulting firm Redwood Energy. They work with developers to build all electric projects all around the state and throughout the country. And they've helped create this guidebook with how-to tips on how to electrify your home. You could do it step by step, or you could do a whole home renovation. They include lots of case studies in the guidebook that show how different families have approached the issue and looking at all different homes. Some are antiques that are from the 1800s, some are more modern. And then there's a full product guide as well if you're looking for specialized things like electric cook stoves that look like antiques or something like that. We have also an outreach program so that neighbors can help neighbors go electric in their homes and kick the gas habit. Sometimes it can be a little challenging to find contractors who are willing to do it or find contractors who are giving affordable pricing. So we've launched this Electric Home Ambassador program where folks can sign up if they need advice from an ambassador or need some help making the switch. And for people who have already made these electric retrofits in their home, they can sign up to be an ambassador. We have about 25 ambassadors so far, and our list is growing. So please do sign up if you want to help your neighbors. You don't have to be an expert, and you don't have to have done a full home transformation. So this is just an all volunteer project. We have lawn signs. I think about 50 have been placed with homeowners who are trying to go electric. Again, they don't have to be fully transitioned to electric, but if you've replaced an appliance and you want to show your support, you can put this lawn sign out. And the QR code will take a curious passerby to our website, fossilfreebuildings.org, where we have a page dedicated to this program to help people get matched with ambassadors and get the help they need and resources. And just in wrapping up, I just want to welcome you all to the movement, this movement to electrify, sometimes dubbed Electrify Everything in 2021. This movement's open to everyone. Anyone can support the movement to electrify. You don't need a degree or any specialized expertise. We know that phasing out fossil fuels from homes and buildings is not going to be easy, but we know we also need to get it done to make sure that we can have a safe climate to live in, and we need to act quickly. And it is going to take all of us working together and rolling up our sleeves. We know that we need to transition all homes and all businesses over the next 10 years. And as we undergo the transition, equity really needs to be front and center. And it's so important that we link up with disadvantaged communities and low-income households to help everyone make this transition together. We know that climate justice is really at the center of climate action and that communities come first. So this is my contact information, and I'll post a couple of links in the chat when I'm done, but I'm going to stop the screen share, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. I was happy to see in your world view where you had all the different contributors. Amy Ryder was big, but also SSV's very own Bruce Nagel was up there as well. So just wanted to make mention of that. There are a few questions coming up, and this was kind of purposely, we had a 1-2 punch today with you, and then at 4:10, Tom Cabot is going to talk about a number of kind of home issues, and specifically the guide, and also the prospect of 120 volt heat pump water heaters, 15 amp, basically plug in, water heaters, which can be quite a big change. Because I wanted to start off with a question from Catherine about a panel update. So she's ready to go more electric. I'm not sure, now it'll be interesting to see where we can direct her. I'm not sure where she lives, but ready to go more electric, starting with the water heater. But I needed electric panel updates. So it's kind of like you want to do one thing and then it's panel update time. Any financial help with this, tax credits? Yesterday, we had a bunch of the CCE people, and then also Jeffrey Liang from Bayren on and talking about their programs, and we'll be putting that information out as well, like their slide deck and the video. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I hope the person asking can hang on and listen to Tom Cabot later this afternoon. Tom has pioneered something called the Watt diet or power diet. It helps homeowners fit all of their electric needs on a very small panel, a 100 amp panel, and avoid those costly upgrades. And I put a link in the chat to fossilfreebuildings.org. From there, you can find the electric home retrofit guidebook, and that has a copy of the Watt diet and kind of a how to avoid electric upgrades as well. But if a homeowner feels like an electric upgrade is absolutely necessary, there is some assistance in the form of rebates. San Jose has a small rebate. I think PCE and SVCE do as well. And so it really just depends on where a person's located, and that will dictate the level of rebate they get. But I would strongly advise a look at that Watt diet to see, maybe those costly upgrades could be avoided. There are so many examples of homeowners who fully electrify on a tiny 100 amp panel. And it does require a little bit of creativity and sometimes the use of what's called a load balancing device. So it's just an electronic device that will automatically stop electric car charging, or maybe your dryer or something like that. If you have a critical load and there are too many loads on the system, then you have what are called interruptible loads, and it cuts them off. And in that way, it lets you run everything that you need on a really small panel.
Great. Chris Brown had a question about the guidebook as well, and I'm sure that we can put a link in the chat.
Yeah, let me drop a direct link.
Yeah, but I know that Tom will be talking about that too at 4:10.
Sure.
As well. By the way, Catherine also had said that she has presently, don't we all, a gas water heater, a gas furnace, a gas stove, a gas dryer, extra credit there, and a fireplace. And there are electric options for all of those. Obviously, it's something, and Tom is very good about talking about the logic and the prioritization of these things. And I think the mention of starting with the water heater is probably ultimately might be a good idea. especially to the extent where the 120 volt regular power, if you will, water heaters become available.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is some new equipment coming online. I think it's a little hard to order at this point, but will be more available by the end of the year. These devices that can go straight into a standard outlet, and then you avoid the cost of installing a 240 volt, like a heavy duty outlet.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
might already have outlets like for the dryer or something, in place, and so that's great. I see, Diane, you put the home retrofit guide up there, and I know I have that vision of Sean Armstrong's house it's been in my head for a while now.
You can visit him in Arcata, and he'll
Yeah,
give you
yeah.
a tour of his home and his farm, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, he's been having virtual events, unlike in the past. So I'd anyway, first off, just really thank you for coming today, and thank you for all the work you've been doing, and throughout all those city council meetings,
And
in
Bruce as
person. And
well. So Bruce Nagel at Sustainable Silicon Valley has been kind of a force of electrification, showing up at CEC meetings and various state meetings and pretty much every city council.
yes, that's really that's true. So definitely a shout out to Bruce, and actually
Dennis, can I
and
say one?
Tony Strawa, who was presenting earlier, is actually mentioning a group he just heard about, Fossil Free Buildings Silicon Valley.
So that's us. Yes, the campaign for fossil free buildings in Silicon Valley. Thank you, Tony, for posting that. And the last thing I want to say is that I posted in the chat a link to our electric home ambassador program. It's on the Fossil Free Buildings campaign site. Want to encourage everyone to get on that site. If you need help, sign up to get help from an ambassador, get matched. If you've already done the upgrades in your home, sign up to be an ambassador and help your neighbors. And everyone can post a lawn sign to help raise awareness about electrification. So please do sign up to get a lawn sign, and we'll get that delivered to you. And we would love to have you as part of the program.
All right, we're at the lawn sign level. That's an indication of progress.